our second place finisher in today's race, and that's Brian Vickers. And he drove the number 55 Aaron's FSU National Champions Toyota. And our top finishing Sunoco Rookie of the Year candidate coming in 5th place is Austin Dillon. He drove the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Chevrolet. Brian, I'll start with you. Certainly one of those races that I'm sure there was a lot of strategy going on, a lot of things being said over the radio with the weather and so forth and so on. And just talk us through all that and how tough it was today for the drivers, because I'm sure it wasn't an easy afternoon.
No, it wasn't. There was a lot of strategy going on, and it kept changing when we started the race. And knowing there was a competition caution coming at lap 20, we thought about kind of taking it easy and going to the back. And then lo and behold, the lane we were in just kept going forward. So we went to the front, and then it got a little bit too dicey for my comfort that early, and guys were moving around a lot. So we went to the back. Just had a bad feeling about kind of the energy in the pack and where it was headed. So we dropped back, and about 2 laps later, there was a big crash, and we were fortunate to be out of that. And then we kept going there and got to a point where we were ready to go, but just didn't quite have the speed we needed in the car to get from where we were at to the front. And we ended up actually getting into the pack at about the wrong moment, and we're fortunate enough to get through the last big wreck. I saw it kind of starting out of the corner of my eye. Car from the outside to the inside just went way too quick, and I just jumped on the brakes, and then as soon as I saw an opening, downshifted and just went to the gas and just was able to get through it. But very lucky to get through that wreck and keep the FSU car out of trouble. The guys did a great job. They called a great race and put me in a position to win there at the end. It was we were just a lap away from an opportunity to make a pass, and I had one shot at the 43 with a run, and the 13 got to my right rear quarter, and I just couldn't move up and do anything with it. We were just kind of stuck there, and then the rain just came at the wrong time for us and the right time for them. It's unfortunate. Just really proud of everyone on this Aaron's Dream Machine team. They've done a great job getting the momentum going back in the right direction, and that's what we need right now. Would have really loved to put this Florida State University National Champions car in victory lane, and that's frustrating. It's I was hoping they would wait it out. We've got lights. It's Daytona. It's only 2:00. But I guess they felt the need to call it, so it is what it is.
Thank you, Brian. And Austin Dillon, just talk about your run out there today, a strong top 5 showing for sure.
Yeah, it was a good run for our Bass Pro Shop Chevy. We just made it through the wrecks. I seen it like Brian said. Everybody up there at front at the beginning was swapping ends and didn't look good, and we made it through the first one, and then the second one hanging out there down the backstretch, and my teammate was in front of me, and he checked up, and when I checked up, I kind of just shot the middle, and they went left and got lucky. I saw Jamie flying through the air. That was crazy. Made it through that and sitting pretty good there. I think me, Brian, and a bunch of the guys right there would love to see it go back, but, it's racing. It's part of it. We've been here for a while, and love to go back, but that rain's been tough to deal with all weekend. I'm ready to go to my dirt race, which is in Indiana. I'm trying to get out of here.
We'll take questions. We'll start up in the press box. Go ahead, press box. Questions for Brian or Austin?
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Guys, this is obviously one less kind of wild card race off the books, and that means with Almirola winning, there's one less spot in the chase for points. It's been so much talk about wins this year, but now that there's even less spots for points, does this sort of accelerate what you'll be looking at every week as far as the standings and trying to have good point stays as well as a win?
Yeah, obviously the fewer spots there are, the intensity picks up for the guys in that position. I think every week you go to every race trying to win and knowing what's at stake if you do and what's at stake if you don't. The closer the chase you get, the more that intensity is going to pick up. Our job is to go out there and try to win next weekend. We came close this weekend, but the weather didn't work in our favor, and that's that. We just got to get on with it and go to next week.
Yeah, same. We jumped from 18th to 13th in points. There's less positions now, but just got to stay consistent. We had a test at New Hampshire this past week, I felt like it was a good test for us, and we go on and try and keep these runs going for us as a rookie, and I think it'll close up the rookie points now too. We've gained a lot the last couple weeks, and this will definitely help.
Other questions in the press box?
No questions.
Any other questions down here for Brian or Austin? We'll take a couple. We'll go Chris, Kelly, and end with Bob.
Chris Knight, hitchfans.com.
Go ahead, Chris.
Austin, how bad did you need this performance today after the strong season that Kyle Larson's had?
Oh, it's huge for us. Getting the top 10, the top 5, and it definitely can change the rookie race. We've got some momentum now. We've got the last 4 races, I think, in the rookie race, and just stay consistent, and hopefully we can come out with this thing. Their cars have been really fast all year, and we're getting better. Each week I feel like we're gaining a little bit, and I'm excited about that.
Questions for either Brian or Austin, and then we'll hear from Kurt. Go ahead, Kelly.
Kelly Craner from Popular Speed. Austin, after all the attention you got down here in February, you've still been hanging around, so it kind of follows Chris's question. Just where would you assess your team halfway through the season, and what do you think is the biggest thing you have to work on going forward?
Well, Kyle's had a great season, and I'm kind of putting our season against his because we're racing for the Rookie of the Year. That's our main goal going into this year, and it's any other year the last couple years it'd be a great season, but the way they've run, it's been pretty. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. We're hanging in there. Just want to find some more speed at these 1.5 miles, get more consistent. Kentucky was a good race for us, just didn't make a good adjustment at the end, and experience will come with that, I hope. And like I said, I feel like our cars are getting better, and we've been really harping on that as a group at RCR to make our cars better. And I think we're starting to show. Ryan had a good run at Kentucky, and hopefully we can carry that on to New Hampshire. We still saved a test or two, I think, as a group. So maybe those tests will help us out.
Bob Pockers, do you have a question for Austin or Brian?
Yeah, Bob Pockers, Sporting News. Brian, did you think that you were racing kind of to the finish there before this storm came? And, how long would you think it'd be reasonable to have a delay before you should get restarted?
I didn't – it wasn't – Billy mentioned before we went green that the weather was still a ways off. So obviously we knew it was a possibility, and storms have been building all day. The few sprinkles we had, wasn't sure if it warranted a caution, but I understand NASCAR's concerns after the nationwide qualifying incident, and don't disagree with that. Knowing that we weren't even supposed to start the race tomorrow night until 7 p.m., I was shocked that we called it at 2-something in the afternoon. I was expecting. I know a lot of the fans tuned into the TV and stuck around at the racetrack, waiting to see a finish, and I was expecting them to wait a little bit longer, knowing that we have lights here and it was going to be a night race anyway. So I was a little surprised, but then there were circumstances that maybe not so surprised that it was called early. So,
any more for these two? Dwight, final question, and then we'll go to Don, and then we'll hear from Kurt.
Dwight Drum, racestake.com. Austin, as far as the rookie part of it, is there some learning curves that you had to overcome in the cup level you'd like to share, with other rookies and fans out there?
Oh, for sure. Each week you learn a little bit here and there, and what it takes to compete at this level. I mean, it takes a full weekend from the start of the weekend when you unload off the trailer, and learning that is just it's the hardest level of racing in the world, in my opinion. So, because I've never done anything past this, but for us, just progressing every week and being smart throughout runs and trying to make our cars better throughout a race instead of maintaining. That's one tough spot. You got to be able to gain through a race, and you can't just maintain. Where a nationwide race or a truck race is shorter, and you can kind of get your car decent in track position. You can kind of maintain that way.
Final question, Don Coble, for either Brian or Austin.
Actually, it'd be for both, and then after they leave, Kurt, you can tackle this one too. How odd is it to be racing not knowing, is this going to be the last lap? Is this the last, because that the bad weather's coming, and you're just uncertain, like, do I have 2 more laps to make this move, or do I have to get it done now?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely challenging, especially this type of racing, because, being in the lead has its advantages and disadvantages. So you don't necessarily, I mean, I think probably more advantages than disadvantages. I'd rather be in the lead than second going into the situation, but you just never know when the checkers are going to come. I was, I think to a certain extent, as many fans as stuck around today to watch this race and to see 160 laps, knowing it was only 1:32 in the afternoon, I was shocked that it was going to be called this early in the day. Knowing that we have lights and it's supposed to be a night race anyway. So I don't know. I just kind of felt like it was going to be another storm that would come and go, and we'd go back green and finish the race. But it ended up not being that way.
For me, it's tough because I thought we were racing to 80 there for a while, and when I hung around in the back for quite a while just trying to miss some of the stuff that looked like was going to happen up there. It was pretty wild, and it is tough not knowing if you're going to get to 160 because you got guys saying, oh, it's going to rain out, it's going to do this, and then, there's so many opinions, and you just have to trust yours, I guess, when it comes down to it, and get there when it counts at the end.
Austin and Brian, thank you for being here today, and good luck next weekend. Joining us now is our third-place finisher in today's Coke Zero 400, and that's Kurt Busch. He drove the number 41 Haas Automation Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing, and Kurt certainly had a strong car up there, and heard you on a couple of the TV interviews during the rain delays. This might have been one of the strongest cars you've had down here at Daytona, but just talk about how the race unfolded for you and how things went today for the 41 team.
I thought we had a good finish today. I'd love to be out there racing and competing for the win. And, the car ran strong. We dominated, led most laps. And the Haas Automation Chevy was a good car right from the time it was completed and shoved into the wind tunnel. And those guys really did a good job back at the shop to prepare the number 41 for all the speed that you need here at Daytona. We executed well on pit road. Again, we led a lot of laps today and thought we were in good position. And when you're racing, knowing that there's weather in the area, it's best to be in that lead position because that gives you the best shot at when the rain does come. And if they do call the race, that you're the leader. So most importantly, though, we've made a good turn on the 41 car in the last month with good, solid finishes. Today, it's disappointing to finish third after leading the most laps. But all in all, looking at the long-term projection, it's been solid on the 41 car, and it was great to run good Daytona weekend, July 4th, with a patriotic paint scheme with America's Machine Tool, with Haas Automation, as well as the symbolization for our armed forces. And so it's great to have a race dedication that we had on the race this weekend from the Armed Forces Foundation.
Questions for Kurt Busch? If you have one, raise your hand, and we'll bring you the wireless mic. Questions for Kurt Busch? Don, you want to re-ask that question? What was it again, please?
Again, not knowing, it's difficult to set up a strategy when you don't know when the end is coming.
I thought we did well. Daniel, the crew chief, was on top of when we needed fuel and when we were playing the halfway game, as well as when we were playing the pit the last time to make it all the way to lap 160. And it seemed like it was putting us in a good position to lead laps, which we did. We were leading at the time, and that's what you want when the rain is, if it's going to come out. So the race was a bit, uneasy. I think the competitors were looking to jockey harder for positions towards the front, and we saw a couple big wrecks today because we didn't know if we were going to get to much past lap 80.
Who else had a question? Dustin Long has one, and then Dwight. Dustin, and then Dwight.
Dustin Long, MRN.com. A couple things. One, just your thoughts. Were you surprised or kind of expected the race called to this point because still time left in the day? And two, you talked about the building of your team. You guys are doing it on a variety of tracks. It's not like you guys are having success at one type of thing. So what's kind of helped turn things around for you guys at this point?
It seems early to call a race. I mean, it is Sunday already, and the majority of our fans that showed up were going to use this day to travel back home. On average, how far are the fans here locally traveling to get back home? Is it 4 hours? You know, maybe we could have run later on today and still finished, and everybody could be back home and to work on Monday. You know, the network TV side of it versus the safety of the fans as well, with thunder and lightning in the area, it's a tough call to make. I didn't do my job to be the leader. You know, we didn't quite have a couple solid restarts at the end to be the leader for when the race was going to get called. As far as our team developing and moving forward, you know, it's nice that we've shown speed on all different types of tracks, and I can't really pinpoint one thing other than just working through some of the aerodynamic balance changes we've made to our car since around the Charlotte race, as well as, you know, we built up enough notes on what we were doing wrong to steer a different direction, and we did that at the first Pocono. So the 1st of June, we've been running a lot better with 2 different balance changes.
Are you and Daniel more on a similar plane now than maybe earlier this season, working together since it was a new relationship?
Yeah, the relationship with Daniel, you know, there's sometimes when a driver and a crew chief hit it off and they're off to the races right away. Daniel and I have been slower to mature together in our relationship, and so we're 18 races into first date. You know, now we're going into the second half of the season, and all of our first dates are done. We'll go to New Hampshire next weekend, and that'll be the last new track that we see together. And then from there on out, all the tracks that we've been to, we have notes and we have test sessions planned, and that's where we have to make the 41 team stronger.
Dwight?
Dwight, racestate.com. Kurt, as far as, you know, your team members and you, when you get rain delays and especially when it's, you know, delayed to the next day, is it harder on the driver or is it harder on those team members that have to go to work?
It's tough on everybody. Are you going to go back to green? Are you not? You got to pack the stuff up while it's in a torrential downpour. I told the spotter as I got out of the car, I said, be sharp, be focused, stay upbeat, keep this you know, good attitude about this right now, because we have a shot to win this if it goes back green. Instead, you know, the race is called. We were almost ready to start kicking the tires because we were third. But it's a general good feel when you're running up front, and we led most laps today. That's what we'll take away from today.
Brant James, ESPN.com. You've been really successful at this sort of weird form of racing without popping through for a win. Does it frustrate you, or do you like it? Do you anticipate coming here because the stats are good, but no trophy yet?
Oh, you're right. I haven't won a points-paying restrictor plate race. It's been tough over the years. You know, 15 years into it, I've won IROC races and, you know, won a shootout, won a qualifying race. But even nationwide, I've won a nationwide race here, but haven't broke through for a points-paying cup win yet. And, you know, I've got to go to the videotape. I've got to go back and study more. I have to, when I'm the leader, I have to advance my game. I have to be better at blocking and strategically managing the race as a leader. I've been really good at seconds and thirds, top fives. Just got to break through for that win, and I believe I need to do more work to get better at it.
Is it harder to make that improvement through film study or whatever with this type of racing, because it seems like so much of it is out of your control at times?
Well, there's the film study. Then there's you have to be in position to make mistakes, or you have to be running up front more often to learn from it. You can't learn by you know, dragging around in the back, waiting for wrecks to happen. You learn by leading and getting shuffled out of the lead, and then trying a different approach to stay in the lead and to be able to make your car as wide as you can at certain spots, and to make others have to rethink their strategy. You know, the chess game definitely comes into play more so when you're the leader than anything else.